What is going on, guys? The number one product I've been asked to review over the past 2 years has been this X3 bar. Now, for anyone who's new to the channel, I primarily talk about training exclusively on a total gym or sliding bench trainer, but I do love to review home gym equipment, and especially ones that are simple, effective, and that possibly can be used in conjunction with a total gym. And one particular comment of many that really motivated me to make this video was somebody who traded in their total gym for an X3. So that really got my attention. So with all the comments I've been receiving from you guys, the current sale that's going on, and the fact they offer a 30-day kind of trial period, I figured I might as well kind of take the Pepsi challenge and give this thing a go. So while despite there's so many other reviews out there, I thought I'd give you guys my 2 cents and a very honest review on what I think about this particular product or system, along with the claims of the product, its exercises, kind of how they feel, the program in general that comes along with this package, who I think this would really benefit, and overall, do I think I'll personally use it, and do I think it's worth it in general? If you guys are interested in picking up this product, looking at that sale, I'll put a link down below in the description box. I have no affiliate with this company, but I will mention some other things in this video. If you guys do want to check those out, I'll put those down below in the description box, as well as some timestamps down below to help navigate the video. As always, please consider liking, sharing, subscribing if you guys find this at all remotely helpful or entertaining. So regardless of what I'm about to say here, guys, about the product, the price, or its overall effectiveness personally for me, if you guys are using this or any other form of physical fitness that's keeping you guys accountable, is giving you guys results, more power to you. Hope you guys keep using this and you guys keep promoting this product. Now, I first kind of heard about this thing, and again, that 2020 when gyms started being closing, and when I started looking into it, people were recommending it. It took 1 second to look at the price and realize this was, in my opinion, pretty insane for what you get. Again, being personally ignorant of what the cost and what the value of the actual product is. I'll actually get into that in a second. That was my initial claim. I saw the sticker shock and kind of jumped off that. If this thing was around the 200 ballpark, I definitely would have jumped in sooner and at least given it a go. But again, in my simplistic, rational mind, it just seemed like a bar, bands, and a platform, something I've already experimented with in the past. I have to say their marketing, their packaging, the whole X3 setup and system from the website to the app is very much on point. And then again, that starts again with the delivery and how it looked right out of the box. I got this thing, it was shipped very quickly to my door. It does what I think every product should do upon arrival. It really excited me as a consumer to open it up and kind of feel good about the purchase. Very clean, very sleek marketing and just kind of packaging. It's very well presented as a product. They throw in some free little perks and supplements in here. You can see a simple, very simple manual I think is great. I'll talk about that a lot. The workout guide with the main system and exercises on one simple sheet of paper, also very cool. So again, from the consumer standpoint, it's really simple, it's sleek, it makes you feel like you're ready to go, you're confident, you got all the tools, it's not too exhaustive as far as like what's laid out in front of you. So in talking about the bar, the bands, and the platform specifically, I think really, as other people have said and other previous reviews I've looked at, the bar is really the selling point. I think this is primarily where most of the value or more of their wholesale cost kind of really goes into this product. It definitely feels really cool. It's short, which I think I like and kind of dislike for some exercises. I actually prefer bars that are like this. I've already kind of used it a little bit in the total gym. There are some other bars that are out there. I'll probably link them down below that are very similar that I was thinking about picking up that are in that kind of $100 price point, but still somewhat expensive, but not $500 worth of expensive if you're just getting it for the bar. So definitely cool. I like the way it feels. I'll talk about why the actual small length I think is good for some exercises, but also limiting for others. But if I were to guess, if I was the company, I think there's more than one reason why this bar is actually small, aside from the exercises and things you can do and the functionality they kind of sell behind it. It makes sense from like a shipping standpoint, overall cost standpoint, and probably the cost of overall product, that if you can make this thing effective and still make it somewhat small, that's kind of a win-win for them. Now the bands, according to them, are high quality, but again, every band company says they're high quality. I'll talk about that towards the end of the video a little bit. I believe they probably are. I mean, a lot of bands are pretty much, if you're buying a set like this, at least maybe $50 to $100 per set. Again, they're very thick, look pretty durable. I'm sure they're gonna stand up for a period of time. I managed, it could definitely be my error, and I'll take the point of it. I don't know if you guys can see this, but I've already kind of managed to like scuff up this a little bit. Definitely could have been my error. I didn't really do anything too crazy or different with it, but I'm not sure really how that happened. And the platform, again, really cool. I like the sleek design. Is it really worth the extra effort and the cost to have something like this? I don't really know. And again, if I'm judging the sides here, there's already some abrasion here, which I'll try and get this in the video later. I'm just noticing now that I think over time would prematurely wear the band. So that's something of a concern. Reported to be kind of a heavy duty, kind of solid metal, but I don't know if this is even really necessary. I think you can get by with like a plastic platform, and I'll probably mention that as well towards the end of the video on some other people's alternatives to their platforms that they use. But still, I like the size of it, I like the distance of it. You gotta be mindful though, even on some things like deadlifts, overhead pressing, this thing can easily kind of move a little bit if you're not totally flush flat on the platform. So that's just something worth considering and noting. Now the programming is kind of interesting. Again, I like the simplicity of it. I have some criticism, minor criticisms I'll get into, but it's very simple. It's a push day and a pull day of a couple exercises. You're supposed to do, I think, like 4 times a week. So like 2 times a week, I think, for each one. The rep ranges are like 15 to 40 repetitions, keeping constant tension, pretty much going to failure. And you're doing each exercise only for 1 set. So that's kind of interesting, but that's how they get away with doing only 10-minute workouts for each of these exercises. Now, I think this is definitely cool. I think simplicity is the king. You don't need to make things overly complicated. I would argue they throw in some jargon and some questionable exercise science to make the case for these exercises and overall program. But again, that's simply my opinion. I'm just gonna get into now the exercise and the program based on my own practical user point of view, just messing around with it, and also just would I actually go ahead and actually follow this program personally. Now, getting into the exercises, I'm just gonna go through all of them in no particular order. I'll talk about the good ones, I think, first. I think makes sense on this kind of band, bar, platform type of setup. I think, definitely a deadlift, the front squat feel really good, feel excellent. I'm not saying any different or any comparable. If you guys got free weights, I think those are certainly good. But if you got this bar band set up, especially if you're looking to supplement something, not spend a lot of extra money on weights, I'd argue this is actually a lot of money, so that might kind of defeat the purpose. Aside from that, the bicep curl on a platform with bands feels excellent. You get a great immediate pump right away, so that feels really good, feels really smooth. Bent over row, I'd say also fairly good. I'm gonna be fairly limited in my opinion as far as rowing techniques. I watch some people do videos, it might be towards the end of the set where they start really standing pretty vertical. And yes, you're gonna work your lats and your biceps to a certain extent and some of your back muscles, but not nearly as much if you're a little more horizontal. So I'd say in my opinion, the back exercises or the straight upper limb pulling exercises, you're really limited in some versatility, at least on this kind of core program. I also like the overhead press with the bar band setup. This is one with a longer bar I think feels a little more comfortable. This gets into my own overall opinion about bands in general. They can be a little more awkward and I think cumbersome in the way the band kind of rubs against your arm as you're kind of pressing overhead. And again, I'll get into this later with like joint discomfort. I think overhead pressing hurts from a lot of people with bands. This kind of because of that variable resistance as you're pressing overhead, that can really start to cause some compression from like your feet to your hands, kind of this bottom position. So some people have had argued and talked to me that they say overhead pressing on their lower back feels a little uncomfortable. I certainly feel that. There's many other alternatives to shoulder presses that I have in the home gym that I would say defeat the person actually doing this. But again, overhead pressing feels pretty good. Now getting into the not good, I would say the calf raise, and this is just me personally. I tried it for a little bit. I just honestly didn't like it. And I'm surprised this is like one of their core exercises. I mean, I'm gonna assume they maybe included it because it just kind of made sense because of the setup. I don't think it's totally necessary. I didn't get a whole lot out from it. I just tried it a couple times and I'm like, this is honestly, I didn't like it, so I just didn't do it. There's many other things I would do in my own little setup or even in someone's basic home gym that I think would be just as effective, if not better, than using the calf raise on here. The tricep press down, again, it felt a little awkward. I didn't like the range of motion and kind of tension I was feeling. This will kind of go in with the chest press in a second. I just felt, again, compared to the stuff that I have, other things that are around you, I think there's superior things. I'll maybe get into this later as well. It's hard to not kind of double dip in certain areas, but if you don't have an anchor point, then yeah, these things kind of make sense. They're a creative way of kind of getting around doing these exercises with this kind of particular setup. But if I got an anchor point, there's other things I would definitely do for triceps versus what they're kind of showing here with the thing wrapped around your back. And that leads me to the chest press. I was really interested to see how this would feel, even though I've certainly done band and bar presses before, other kind of anchor point setups. Over the back, I will say what other people have complained about on the system, that the thing kind of moves around. It's a little bit annoying, as I keep saying that word a lot. That's kind of how I felt overall when I was doing this workout or just some of these exercises. I just didn't like it. I mean, yes, I started to build up some tension. I think the smaller bar kind of width is good for the chest presses because it kind of puts a more diverted kind of line of action, kind of centered more in your chest, versus if it was wider, it'd be a little bit different kind of tension. But with that being said, as I started getting up in repetitions and kind of close to that recommended failure in that higher rep range, it wasn't really my chest that I was really feeling. I certainly felt it, but I was feeling kind of my shoulders and definitely in my wrist in kind of this awkward pressing motion. And because you got this fixed bar, this is one of the limitations, you're kind of limited in what you can kind of do to kind of your own biomechanics and your own comfort and just disabilities or things you got going on. I really felt like this was kind of a limiting exercise, and in my opinion, not what I really liked. I personally thought I could just wrap this band around me and do basic push-ups with the band in my back, and I'd probably get a much better stimulus. But don't get me wrong, this is definitely cool for what it is, maybe as an alternative if you guys don't have a full-fledged gym, or maybe you're traveling, you're going out, you're at a hotel, you're going outdoors for like a workout, something like that, and you're just using a simple setup with no anchor points for resistance bands. Definitely cool. I think it does the job in a creative way of kind of really stimulating and stressing your muscles, of course. Certainly, I'm telling you guys, give it a fair shake, give it the learning curve. You want to start slow, don't start the heaviest bands, start very slow. Compare it to other things, dial in the technique, give it a fair shot. So that could have been me. I'll take it, but I've definitely had enough experience with resistance bands in my own personal body to kind of know when something feels good or doesn't feel good. Now, as far as the X3 program, again, I love the simplistic design. I think it's awesome. People are getting really great results in as short as 10 minutes. I personally don't think I would like that. And one simple fact is just that I think I would want a little bit more just mentally to go through an actual good workout, to do more than 10 minutes worth of work. I kind of like putting a lot of effort. There's many times as I was doing this, yes, I kind of got to failure, and according to them, you would have to like be done for that one particular set. But after a few like kind of a brief 1 to 2 minutes, I know I could do a lot more volume and a lot more work and get a lot more stimulus out of it. But the big thing what I don't like about kind of the high repetition rep ranges and using this particular tool or mode is that, yes, I'm getting a lot of reps in there, but I want those quality reps in that particular body part that I'm feeling. And for many exercises in here, this is just me personally, I just wasn't feeling it where I wanted to feel it. And I think this tool is kind of self-limiting because of its design. So again, the good example is going back to the chest press. I was doing a lot of repetitions and it was just starting to get frustrating. I was like, oh, I'm gonna try and do that high number just for the sake of doing it. And it wasn't so much my chest, it just was this awkward pressing with my wrists. And there's a lot of things, overhead pressing again with this kind of short kind of bar width or bar length. A lot of things I think just be somewhat limiting and depending on the person. So with all that being said, would I recommend this for you and do I think it's worth the value? I would say consider some of these things. First and foremost, which is kind of my gut reaction, is do you enjoy training with resistance bands? Do you find them fun to kind of do? Do you like the actual tension and feel off them? Do you not get bored using them? If you've never used them before, I recommend just picking up a basic pair of resistance bands, maybe a cheap, relatively cheap pair, mess around with them, see if you like them. But if you're someone like me who already doesn't necessarily like sticking to resistance bands, you don't really like the tension they give off compared to other modes that are out there, or things you just want to supplement with. That's why I like the Total Gym and a sliding bench trainer, because I can actually put on band tension and kind of give off that same kind of feel in a much more variety of exercises at my disposal. And again, do you find bands kind of comfortable and just a good stimulus to your muscle? And then it kind of gets us into cost, because even though people oftentimes compare the low cost of entry compared to bands or free weights, you really have to consider just the durability and how long these bands last for. Bands will fail, and at some point they are going to degrade. They're going to lose elasticity no matter how good the company says their bands are. This is not Roswell technology off a spaceship. These things are not indestructible. These things will fail eventually. They will snap, they will break. There's a reason why this company has, I think, 1-year warranty on the bands. So as durable as they say they are, and I'm sure they're very durable, eventually bands will break. So you kind of have to factor that into the cost. Of course, to give the company the benefit of the doubt, maybe the parts for this bar and the platform might be worth it, but can you get by with other things that maybe are a lesser value that do the same function versus say paying for just like a premium bar band platform setup? And so on that point, there's definitely other alternatives that are out there. Nothing specifically in this type of bar. I will say there are some knockoffs at some websites that are out there. I won't necessarily plug those because I don't know the quality of what they are. There's a lot of band focused channels that show these types of alternatives using a simple stepper, a bar, and a band setup. So I will link one channel such as Gamer Body right here. I have no affiliation, don't know him at all whatsoever, but I think he puts out good resistance band content that I think you guys can find valuable. That just shows, you don't need to pay $500 for this really expensive setup. And guys, I've shown this many times in the past videos that you can actually replicate this bar band setup with the stuff you have in a Total Gym. If you guys are watching this, I can actually do stuff on the Total Gym machine. I can take the squat stand off and replicate a lot of these simple bar band setups without, say, a premium model machine. Getting into like the idea of like joint health and joint safety. I mean, bands are always promoted as something that's just really safe and not providing any stress to the bands. I don't think that's really true, especially for certain exercises and movements. I've heard from many people individually, clients, you guys in the comment section, and you can look up negative reviews about this thing. I didn't want to highlight any negative reviews because there's always a negative review out there. But people just say, if you do overhead pressing, even some deadlifts and some other things, you have this kind of variable resistance where the more the band stretches, the more it's kind of putting this compressive force. That can cause some issues for some people. And so that's why even when I've done band stuff on the Total Gym, it takes a lot of that pressure off my back. You can do the overhead, bicep curls, overhead presses, get the same benefit, but you don't have that same kind of stress on your lower back that you're kind of feeling from the ground. Now, personally, guys, am I gonna stick with this? Considering all these things, I think you gotta know I'm kind of really talking myself out of it. I think this bar is really cool. I will probably definitely use this and I would like this bar and the setup, but I just have a hard time really justifying that high price tag for the sake of how much I'm gonna be using this thing. But again, there's a 30-day kind of money back guarantee trial or whatever, so you guys can take advantage of it and try it for yourself and see if you guys like it. Certainly a lot of people do like it. There is another company that offers a 30-day trial period for like $1. The Total Gym, shameless plug. I will link my link down below if you guys do wanna check that out. I didn't wanna make this a comparison video. It's hard not to. I can do it in the future. If you guys do wanna see that, let me know. At the very least, share your comments, thoughts, and opinions down below in the description box. Make sure there's no bot comments. That was one thing I heard about one of these negative reviews. When they talked about it, the person said that there was a lot of bots supposedly paid for by the company. I don't want to give them the benefit of the doubt and say they didn't do that, but hopefully we got no negative bot comments on this. Either way, guys, if you got passion for the product, love to hear it. Hopefully you guys like this review, and if I'm missing something, definitely let me know, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Thank you.